2 of our interview with Dorien Davies, we talk about what it's like to make your very own movie. So let's learn some more about missed connections. When I first met you, so many years ago, you and Kenny were promoting a feature film that you guys wrote and directed, right? This film. Hey, there it is.
I still have it.
Misconnection. And I guess because a lot of puppeteers are kind of like self-starters. When people ask us about like, well, how do you get involved in puppetry? I would say, do your own thing, do your own thing. And I definitely feel like you are a do your own thing person. And I would just love you to share with the audience and with us the experience of creating your own feature film and all of that, because that's kind of incredible.
I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of it. My husband is a writer, and this was you guys, this was a long time ago.
Yeah, and it's a long process too, I'd imagine.
It was a long process, but we hustled and we were super scrappy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
This is like the advent of Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
And we had just this incredible community of talented improvisers. And we wanted to create something that would feature them. I mean, they were just this incredible resource, and, you know, everyone was down. And so Kenny wrote the script, and it's about, in the old days, before Swipe Right and Swipe Left, it was about a guy who manipulates women on Craigslist misconnections, saying, you know, responding to people, and then and then he meets someone who's doing the same. And my husband played the lead and I played the lead. And we, at the time, I was a personal assistant. Like, that's how I was making my living. And my boss's spouse's personal assistant and I became friends, and they were in the entertainment industry, and her name is Lisa Rudin, and she produced the movie and introduced me to the director, who was like this incredible editor named Herrick, who directed a lot of he's edited like every major motion picture. He was nominated for a bunch of Emmys for like The Good Place and Veep, and he's incredible.
Yeah.
And so we just it was like sparkly magic, and we got along really well, and we gave him our baby, and he made, like, the two of them made magic out of it. And I cooked all the meals, and we didn't get any permits, and we made it all on $25,000, and it won 15 film festivals and toured all over the world, and we got distribution. And we actually this year just got our film back. Like, we own it now.
Congratulations.
So we don't know what we're gonna do with it yet. So now you can't even watch it anywhere. But we'll figure it out.
Well, it's yours now. That's awesome.
Ours. I know, and I think it really holds up. I really do, and it remains one of like our greatest sources of pride. You know, like, we've all moved on, and you know, we didn't make any money off of it or anything, but it was so incredible to create a vehicle for all this talent. Everyone was hungry. It was before a lot of people were famous, and like, there's legitimately famous people in it now. Like, you know,
it's an interesting lesson, because before, when you started talking about this, you just said how this is still one of your, you know, peak experiences, and you didn't make any money from it. I think sometimes people accidentally conflate money with those peak experiences, and so often the most meaningful things that you'll do as an artist or an actor or a puppeteer or whatever your ambition is are the things that bring you nothing but what they actually bring you, which is the happiness, the joy, the sense of accomplishment, and not just money. You can make a lot of money doing stuff, and it's not very fulfilling.
Yeah.
But I just think that's so awesome to hear you say that it was such a peak experience, and that it didn't make you money is not a slight. That's like, that almost makes it more meaningful in some ways.
We needed to make it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, it had to happen. There was something that was pulling us to it. It was on our wedding night on the dance floor. I wanted a house. I was like, I just want to buy a house. That's all I want to do. That's our next goal. Like, we made a wedding happen. We have no debt, which is like, I was very proud of. We worked really hard to have this massive wedding for my husband's massive family. And I was like, okay, next goal, I want a house. And Kenny goes, I want to make a movie. And I was like, what? But eventually I came to, and it really did. It has to be a labor of love. Like, I know a lot of people who keep saying, like, what's the key? Like, what's the key to working in Hollywood? And I'm like, don't give up. You have to be a little crazy. Like, it's expensive, you know? Yeah. Life is expensive here.
It's sort of like sorting beach glass. You know, as you shift, the sieve, the smaller pieces fall out, and eventually you're left with a beautiful piece of beach glass. But that's the piece that hung on. You know, while the other sand hit.
And it may take a couple dips in the sand before you actually end up with that.
I know, exactly. I mean, that's really the truth about it. And it takes tenacity. It takes like a certain kind of stick-to-itiveness that's like borderline mentally unhealthy.
Yeah. Well, so I'm sort of curious, like, where do you see the next chapter of what you're doing? Like, what are you doing in 10 years from now? Like, what's the big idea, the big dream for you?
Yeah. I'm developing a couple shows.
Right.
I have this like witchy childlike imagination. Like, I believe in magic, and I want that for kids and family. And I also have this, like, remember when you were a kid and like there was like a family event on television?
Yeah.
And everyone gathered around.
Yeah.
And it was like, you know, like a Muppet special or something like that. Like, everyone gathered around.
That's right.
And it's one of the reasons why I love, you know, Disney animation and Pixar, because that's kind of like that family thing when it becomes something for everyone. And it's enjoyable. Like, I know, like, tonight's movie night with my daughter, and when we will have movie night, it's like sometimes she chooses it and it's like, I'm not gonna watch this Barbie movie again. Like, I'm not gonna do this. I love you. It's movie night. This is your movie. I'll be on my phone. I don't know, whatever, you know. But then sometimes it's like Wolf Walkers. I mean, that's beautiful. That maybe one of my favorite animated movies of all time. And when we watched it, I was just like, so that's what I want to do. That's what I want to create. I want to create stuff that's good for an entire family, that draws them in. And so I'm working on a couple projects now for that. And
that's great that you said that, because I feel like you have built this skill set that makes almost the next logical step for you to say, now I'm going to take all this knowledge that I've amassed from funding my own motion picture to, you know, breaking through as an actor, to breaking through as a puppeteer, to supporting yourself with your art. What's the next thing? And it sounds like to create your own art to keep that going for the next, you know, who knows how long for the.
Yeah. And I've been writing, like, I've been writing a bunch of television, and I've been, you know, writing some kids content and stuff like that. And so I'm learning about that. So, like, I think it's important that we all kind of know all the sides of it.
Yeah.
I was asked if I wanted to start directing, and I just don't think I do, you guys. I just don't think I do. It was such an epiphany, because I am driven and I am aspirational and I want to do all these things, but the idea of directing and like setting up camera shots and stuff, it's just not my world. Like, I think production, I think, you know, being an EP or creative and working in production on my own projects, that's ultimately what.
I'll tell you something interesting, which is interesting to me, which is when I work with a director who is a puppeteer, I actually find them to be very good directors, because sort of like what you said, which is we already direct.
We're already
kind of doing
shots.
Composition. We're already kind of my entrance. I may have to come a little closer to camera. I should turn now. You're already making those choices and you're looking at it visually. So it's just interesting that some directors that have puppeteered are some of the best directors I've worked with. Plus, they understand what puppeteers need.
They understand when you say, "Can the camera go higher?" They know why.
I will say, like, as a puppeteer, working with directors who know how to work with puppets is the most enjoyable shoot. Like, just, I mean, I worked on a shoot a couple of years ago where every 5 minutes I was like, "You're shooting down. Stop shooting down.
We're not gonna.
That's my head. Please
and
stop shooting
puppeteers,
down."
we're so disciplined that we keep lowering ourselves to the point where all you're looking at is the floor.
I know.
Yeah.
Like last week though, I felt too tall.
That's because we're short. Yeah. I've never felt too tall on the set.
I've never felt too tall. That was my first time. I was like, oh my God, that's too tall.
I'm curious for you to talk about your experience of being in this current generation, a wave of women who are performers and puppeteers in general. And I feel like it's a very positive development that this is occurring, and you're a part of it. So I wanted to hear a little bit about what is that experience like?
You know, it's so interesting that you just said, well, so my friend Donna Kimball, my amazing friend Donna Kimball, Alice Deneen, and Colleen Smith put together this amazing series called GLOP, the Glorious Ladies of Puppetry. And we had a lot of fun with that during lockdown. We all just set up individual green screens in our own homes, and Colleen wrote a bunch of great scripts, and Liz Hara wrote a couple scripts, and we had great music, and it was just it was a fantastic experience. I do think it's really interesting because generationally, you know, Donna talks about how when she was starting, there were just no women. It would just be maybe one woman and like 6 guys, 7 guys in a cast, and the women were assists or just when they needed a high voice. And I am fortunate enough to have started right at a really kind of crucial, I think, time. When I started at the Groundlings and started doing improv and comedy, it was just like this sparkly magic of female funny. And I was on the tail end of the Girls Can't Be Funny thing. And that was I'm so glad, because I would have been angry all the time at work. I would have been mad all the time. So we're really fortunate in that sense, because I feel like I've been very welcomed. And I do think I'm really lucky to work a lot at Henson, and in Henson Children's, it's just, there's just a lot of really strong, really talented women who highlight and mentor other women. And I've just been really, really fortunate. That being said, you know, whenever it's not always perfect. And I do feel like I have to constantly remind people sometimes that, you know, this isn't, and I'm always the one who's like, wow, that's really sexist. Like, this makes me uncomfortable. And I'll say it funny, but I'll always say it because I think it needs to be said still, because there is such a history of misogyny. And there are so many productions that just hire men or hire men to do women's voices, or people of color, you know, white men doing the voices of female people of color. Like, that's not right anymore.
That does definitely not fly in today's world. So someone asked a while ago, because you worked on the Little Mermaid live, and someone just wanted to know what that experience was like.
So much fun!
Live in front of millions of people.
Oh, it was so much fun. Because I came from theater. So it was like this perfect combination of my roots and my current life. And, you know, Artie, your puppets were amazing.
Thank you.
Even though there was all that controversy about the new flounder.
I love controversy.
Ooh,
I'm trying to spotlight on it.
And Artie was our captain, and he led a fearless pirate ship of puppets. It was really exciting and satisfying, and I loved going back to the rehearsal process, because that's something I think that we really miss out on a lot working in film and television. We don't really get rehearsal processes, and like going through the dance over and over, and, you know, just, it was so exciting. And then going into the space with the incredible, they have this LED like backlit screen. It was so impressive, like even up close. You know, sometimes you get up close and you're like, oh, I can see this is fake. You're like, magic. We're there. I really did like working on Little Mermaid Live. That was a great experience. I needed it at the time. I was like, I need some joy.
What is the feeling like when you know they're gonna go and 3, 2, and it's not just, it's like millions of people are tuning in. Like what does that feel like as a performer?
Focus. It's that fugue state that we all get into when we're performing, where there's nothing else in the world happening but the function that you're performing and the character that you're performing. It's the way like surgeons are, it's the way artists are, you know, you lose yourself. And it's the singular reason why I do what I do, because I'm addicted to that focus. And I'm addicted to losing my ego and just putting it into some other creative outlet.
I would love to see if people want to follow you and see what you're up to and stuff. Like, what's the best way for people to see what you're doing?
I'm pretty good at Instagram now. I like fell off Facebook and then I like, I don't know, whatever. But I'm pretty good at Instagram. But now it's Dorien Davies Official, because I made it more of a public-y kind of thing.
Right, Dorien Davies Official on Instagram. So you guys follow and keep up to date with all the cool stuff that Dorien is doing. And that is the end of our little lunchtime.
So you guys, are you gonna call me next week? Because like I saw you last week, and now I'm seeing you now. Like it's gonna be like a thing.
Yeah, exactly. The more we see you, that will definitely be better for us for sure.
If you want to see more interviews with puppeteers and puppet builders, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the Swazzle Lunch Break.